morning, good evening, good night, wherever you are joining us. Wow, these are the final days of our summit. We finished with three panels, lots of content, our third week. And today we are going all the way to Stockholm, where we have Caitlyn Socwell, and she has an amazing workshop prepared for us today. So, with no more, make sure you're on our web member site because when our events are finished, then content will only be available to our members. So go to regeneratravel.com and sign up for us. So let's meet Caitlin Sockwell. Hi, good
Hi,
morning.
good evening.
Good evening on your side of the world. I am with my morning upper. How are you?
I am very well. I'm very excited. I love autumn, so I just feel alive during the season. So,
What
yeah, nice to
I
be
I love
here.
the changes and the colors. So Caitlin has prepared for us an amazing workshop. I was very impressed with the learning. I learned so much from our podcast with you, Caitlin, that I'm really excited about learning about this world of of the passion that you have, and you changed my perspective on how to define waste and really the whole idea of repurposing it. So really for me it was impactful to meet you before, and I'm really happy to share this with our audience in the Regenerate Travel Summit conference area. So it's all yours.
Thank you, Suzanne. That's so lovely to hear. And that's why I do what I do, is to try and provide a bit of a different perspective on waste. So excited to be here. My name is Caitlin, and we're going to talk about cleanups and waste audits today. Um, let's jump into it. Maybe just a quick introduction about myself and the Waste Not Spot. So I am a self-proclaimed Austro-American. And now I live in Europe, so maybe it's Austro-European. But I was born and raised in the USA, in Wisconsin. And then I migrated to Australia. So I was there for a decade before now coming to the Netherlands. I'm based in Rotterdam usually, but hey, from Sweden. I've been here in Sweden the last week doing some waste audits. So it's very much front of mind, and excited to kind of unpack everything that I've been going through in real life in the last week. Fun fact, I'm a doctor of physiotherapy by background, registered in Australia. However, it wasn't my passion that got me up and out of bed each morning. So I am now a global circular sustainability consultant and the founder of the Waste Not Spot. The Waste Not Spot is I guess, a boutique consultancy, you would call it. And the vision that I have is that we achieve sustainability through circular. So everything that we do, all of the way that businesses operate, are in a circular fashion. And we will cover what a circular economy is very shortly. But I'm on a mission to help organizations transition to the circular economy in everything that they do. So the Waste Not Spot, what that means in action, it means that there's a variety of services that I offer in terms of the spectrum of transitioning to a circular economy. And this includes, first, we usually want to understand the system that we're trying to change. Then we need to set up some organizational strategies and action plans and all of that fun stuff, just so it guides us. Then comes the project and the pilot project implementation and development side of things. Then once we've got the project and it was implemented successfully, then we can scale it up. I do work with international trade delegations, trade and investment delegations, specifically around waste and circular economy. In fact, I've got a Canadian delegation coming to the Netherlands next month, so that'll be really looking forward to that. And then the final sort of pillar on the spectrum of transitioning is the education and communication, this is exhibit A of that. So we can do all of that really great stuff, but unless we're shouting our insights and learnings from a mountaintop, we're not having as much of an impact as we really could be. So that is sort of the spectrum of what I work in and the mission that I'm on. And please stay tuned. I'm currently in the process of establishing a foundation that was focusing more on the community side of things, because I am more community minded. And so, yeah, stay tuned for that. Just quickly, a little bit about our story. So 2020 is probably a bleak year for most of us, but that's where the Waste Not Spot idea came to be. It was originally supposed to be a zero waste grocery store, but unfortunately, no money, no money, honey. So that sat on ice for a little bit. And 2023 is when it was brought back to life in a different version, now consultancy. 2024 saw the first projects kick off, and 2025, we're having more projects. And like I said, looking at the foundation as well. So again, stay tuned. So just a quick rundown of what we're going to be talking about today. I've already done the intro. I've already told you about our story, but we'll get into the circular economy, the definition, what it is, and why it's so relevant to regenerative travel. We will talk about regenerative travel, but then also a key problem around regenerative travel, which is waste. We'll also then, once we've got all of that background information and the theory behind it all, then we'll start running into more of how to run a cleanup and what to prepare and what to look out for, just really broad, just to not overwhelm you. And then we'll also talk about waste audits and, well, why they're important and what we should look out for. So here we go. Starting with the circular economy. I could talk forever, and I do. I have a podcast called Millennials Gone Circular, where we do talk forever about the circular economy. So I will leave that for that platform. But just a really good introduction, I think a good place to start is to understand what kind of economy we're living in now. And I know when I say the word economy, eyes glaze over, and I totally get it. Mine did too. But once we realize the economy, we're not talking about, we are talking about economics, but we're talking about the way that materials and money moves through a system, essentially. So right now, unfortunately, we live in a linear economy. So that's where we take Earth's resources, we make something out of it. Might be this, I've got a little lip balm here. So we make this little plastic container for the lip balm, and then we use it. Lip balm lasts for a while, but then we throw it away. Not very efficient, and it's we're losing lots of materials that way. The next sort of in between is the recycling economy. So that's where we take something, we make something, we use it, and then we recycle it. So hopefully I can recycle this little thing back into the system, and then we maintain those materials. But what recycling does is it just kicks the can down the road, really. And ultimately, at the end of the day, it does get wasted eventually. Now, the circular economy, we've still taken those materials, but we make something, we use it, and we recover those materials, and they're back into the system. So we're either returning a coffee cup, we're either recycling something, we're repairing it so it extends longer. Or we're reusing something over and over again. Again, like a water bottle that I've got here. Oh, don't know if you can see it. And ultimately, it's to keep it out of landfill. So there is a song by an Australian band called Formidable Vegetable. And my favorite quote comes from one of their songs. And they say, "There's no such thing as waste, only stuff in the wrong place." And that is what the circular economy is about. It's rebranding waste as value, as resources. So if I had a magic fairy wand, I would just get rid of the word waste out of our vocabulary because there's no such thing. Okay. So with the circular economy, there are three main principles. First, to design out waste and pollution. Second, we need to keep materials in circulation. And then lastly, we need to regenerate nature. So these three principles make up the circular economy. And a lot of people ask the difference between the circular economy and sustainability. And I love this question because it's a very good question. What is the difference? Sustainability, I see it as the end goal. So we are looking to live in a sustainable world where future generations can be sustained. Circular economy is the tool that helps us get there, right? Amongst many others, I should mention. Now, I won't spend too much time on this, but this is what we call the R ladder or the waste hierarchy. And it doesn't even include all of the R words. So you can see our little teacher here is pointing out that the things in green are the more circular R words. So that's like rethinking the way we design something. Maybe we can design an item without it being wasted at the end of life. And there's lots of principles, sub-principles that we won't go into. We can refuse something. So again, like my water bottle here, by using this, I'm refusing a single-use plastic bottle. The next one down is reduce. We can repair and reuse, and those are what we're keeping things in circulation. The next ones down the middle are kind of, they're good, but they're not ideal. And once you move down the ladder, that is where we're starting to get into the linear economy. And you'll notice recycling is there as well. This is also referred to as the waste hierarchy, in case that's more familiar to you. Okay, so regenerative travel, what we're all here in this conference to chat about in the first place. I think I'm preaching to the choir when I say regenerative travel is restoring and revitalizing our ecosystems. But it's not just our ecosystems, we're also talking about the cultures and the communities that are impacted by tourism. I'm preaching to the choir here, but there are some core principles. We love a good principle in sustainability, but when we're traveling regeneratively, we're leaving it better than you found it, leaving no trace. We're centering our activities around local communities and local knowledge and being respectful of those local communities. We're also rebuilding biodiversity, again, the culture and the resilience of the local communities as well. And we're creating net positive impact for people and planet at the end of the day. So, spoiler alert, regenerative travel is circular. If you are involved in regenerative travel, you are already practicing circular economy principle number 3. So I hope if you get anything out of this today, I hope that you leave knowing that you are more circular than you think. And there's lots of different ways that you can regenerate nature. These are just a few. There's lots. We can look at reforestation. We can look at the marine restoration. We can look at regenerative agriculture, and the list goes on and on and on. But the thing that we're going to focus on today are the cleanups. Now, first, before we get into the cleanups, we need to talk about the problem. 11 million tons, it's hard to even picture that. 11 million tons of plastic waste enters the ocean every year. And if no action is taken, this number could nearly triple by 2040. And we're not too far off from 2040, less than 20 years. 11 million tons of plastic waste. Now, that is the equivalent of one garbage truck full of waste being dumped every single minute. A whole garbage. I mean, you've seen your garbage truck, hopefully, locally or on TV. That's too much. And it's only looking to increase. Now, during peak tourism season, there's usually a 40 to 100% increase, 100% increase in waste volumes during peak tourism seasons. And this overwhelms the local infrastructure, and ultimately you get plastic leakage out into the ecosystem and the environment. Tourists generate up to twice as much solid waste per capita as the local residents do in lots of the different, especially in coastal destinations where infrastructure isn't really equipped to handle this. And here, welcome to Miami, Taylor. So I popped this picture in because this is actually a project that I'm working together with the fabulous Vienna From and a group of other fabulous people trying to work towards a solution to figure out how we tackle this issue of marine plastic waste washing up constantly onto the beach. So Vienna, maybe we can chat about this afterwards, but Vienna has been leading some cleanups regularly in this area. But every time she goes back, it's basically like they've never been there. So imagine if those cleanups hadn't happened. So this is what we're looking to address. We need the cleanups. We need a two-prong approach, I guess. We need the cleanups because we need to, the first step to restoring nature is to clean it, right? We can't let biodiversity can't thrive with all of this in the way. But then on the other hand, we also need to be turning off the tap. Okay, so finding out where is this waste coming from, and that's where the circular economy principles 1 and 2 come into play. So we need to design out this waste, design out the pollution through better systems and infrastructure. And we need to be recovering these materials better so they're not leaking into the environment. Okay, so like I said, regeneration starts with cleanups. These cleanups are super accessible. They're tangible, so people can get their hands on it and actually feel like they're making a difference. They are centered around the community and they're community driven. So people in the community take initiative, they take stewardship and ownership, and they love getting involved. Cleanups are perfect for tour operators. Again, Vienna, Exhibit A. Schools and local businesses can also easily enter this and do the service. It's also a perfect opportunity to collect data and information, and we'll get to that in a minute. Oh, no, we will get to it now. So what is a waste audit? Now, these pictures I've put in here, this is actually from me this last week doing a waste audit. So a waste audit is a structured process of collecting, sorting, and analyzing waste. And what we want to do through this process is understand what's being thrown away, in what quantities, and where improvements can be made. It helps us identify opportunities to reduce waste, improve recycling, and also inform regenerative efforts. So what you can actually measure the impact that you're having as a regenerative tour operator or in whatever capacity that you're operating the cleanup. So it's really powerful to show your impact and then also help your partners potentially understand the waste problem that's in your community. So like I said, we collect data, we want localized insights. We can actually also use this data to influence infrastructure and policy. If we're seeing that we have X problem here in this location, but there's no bin infrastructure, well, hey, maybe we need a policy that provides that infrastructure. It can also strengthen any grant reporting and environmental storytelling that you want to do. Opens up a lot of doors there. Okay, so we got through all of the bits and bobs to understand the background of things. Now I would like to step into actually running a cleanup and a waste audit. There is a few things that we need to do to plan before we implement the cleanup. We need to pick a location first and foremost, and I think it's good to usually start where there is a low-hanging fruit. We need to get the right permissions, of course. So whoever's land it belongs to, need to get permissions from them. Setting a date and time seems straightforward, but we also need to consider public holidays and what days the community is likely to be more active. So really understanding your target volunteer audience is the best. In terms of time as well and logistics, can they get there? All of that sort of things. And that will help you recruit your volunteers. Then we need to be promoting the event. So use your network, use your platforms that you have, Facebook, Instagram, Blue Sky, Twitter, X. There's so many. It's hard to keep track. You can also do Eventbrite, things like that, or whatever platforms you have locally. I've put here define your goals because I think that's always a really great place to start. And go big, but also go small. So have a goal for that day, maybe how many volunteers you want, how many kilos of trash you want to collect. Then we also need to arrange a pickup or drop off. So once we've collected all this waste, what are we doing with it afterwards? Who's dropping it off? Who's coming to pick it up? Then we need to arrange some audit equipment. So this is like, we'll get into this in a bit, but when we're auditing the waste, you need to decide what type of setup you want. So you might want a table with buckets. You might just want a tarp with tape into quadrants, but just decide that and arrange your correct equipment, including gloves and scales. Then we need to set up the sorting station. And please don't forget the first aid kit and emergency plan, action plan, always very important, especially if you're doing a marine cleanup. There's lots of things that can wash up on the beach, but there's also lots of things in the water that can get you, depending on where you are. There's just a little supplies checklist. I mentioned the gloves, of course, trash bins and bags, labels, tapes, markers, pens, all that stuff. Clipboards, very helpful. Scales are very helpful as well. If you're doing this on a beach, try and bring something where you can set it on a flat surface. Otherwise, it's just going to sink into the sand. It's very important to take photos. It's a fun activity. So making sure you're getting photo permissions from everyone. You might want a sign-in sheet or a QR code just to get people registered. So again, that's more data that you have on who's getting involved and how old they are and all that fun data, if you're a data nerd like me. Water and snacks, always a must. And sunscreen, of course, depending on where you are in the world. If you're in Sweden in October like me, maybe not as important. Okay. Now, data from these waste audits also open up lots of possible funding avenues. There's funding avenues available for cleanups to deliver them, but once you have this data, it also opens up opportunities for further funding to have a bigger impact. So there's and just a few opportunities to raise funds you could include this in your fees actually as a regenerative travel tour operator. So the bookings that come through, you can look at your local municipality, see if they have any small grant programs available. And you can also look out for small community or tourism impact grants. There's lots of funding out there. It's just kind of about knowing where to go and who to approach. But I like to throw this line in there that running a low-cost cleanup doesn't mean you're not having a big impact. So I do want to highlight that. Cleanups in general can be very low cost. You might not even need to purchase the equipment. You might be able to even check it out or hire it from your municipality, depending on where you live. So I think that is where partners come into play. Okay, here we go. Sorting and collecting the waste. Now, this is a video playing. This video is playing from a big festival here in the Netherlands. So we took all of the waste from across campus, weighed the bag, of course, just to get the total weight. Then we dumped it and sorted that into the different streams and then into bin bags of the correct stream. So we're weighing things as they come in, and then we're weighing the specific streams that go out. And that's really, really great data. You don't need a setup like this. It's good for your back usually, and it's good for efficiency, but sometimes not the most realistic of things. So if you want more of a low equipment approach, you can just literally get a blue tarp and grab some rocks, lay it down on the sand, and then you can tape the tarp off into quadrants, and you can sort it that way and sort out into the different waste streams there. I keep repeating myself, but always have gloves and scales, gloves and scales, gloves and scales. All right, so the actual waste audit. So we've painted a picture, we've done the collection, we've dumped it out, we've sorted it out into the buckets or the tarp. Now is the fun bit. I know this is really tiny, but this is just an example, and I can share this with Vienna to put in the platform. But this is an example of what paperwork you might fill out in terms of collecting the data or collecting the amount of waste in each stream. So this is just an example from Cleanup Australia. every year they have Cleanup Australia Day, and this is the template they send out, and they request that you report back to them so that they can keep track of the waste that's going around, ending up in the environment around Australia. You don't have you might be able to find a local organization like this, but you can also just keep it for your own records or partner with other institutions. So your local universities might be really interested in partnering and having that data. Maybe there's a nature reserve or conservation organization that can help even analyze this data for you. You can look at partnering with different waste management companies if they're available to you in your local communities. And I always encourage sharing the data after your event, because yeah, if there's no photos, it didn't happen. If it's not on Insta, it didn't happen. But one of the strong, like I said before, in terms of what we do at the Waste Not Spot, you can do all of the amazing stuff, but if you're not sharing the outcomes and the successes and the stories behind it and the impact, then we're missing out on a key opportunity to really inspire others to do the same. So really key point there. Now you don't have to, there are some lighter touch options. So you don't have to run a full scale cleanup. There are some apps out there that you can use as on an individual basis. So if you're like, whoa, I can't organize a cleanup, that's too much. I'm a busy gal or guy. Open litter map, I personally like. It's basically you walk down the street and you see a piece of litter and you take a picture of it and you upload it. And this platform can map the litter system around the world. So that's pretty cool. So have a look, start mapping in your region. That's a smaller way that you can contribute to a broader cleanup and impact. Okay, I think we've gone through a lot today, and I intentionally kept it broad because today was a lot, but imagine there's even more under the surface. So just wanted to highlight that regenerative travel is circular. You are already participating in the circular economy. So give yourself a pat on the back. Cleanups are a great starting point. They're low cost, low barrier, low entry, and they're fun. They get the community involved. We need to, in addition to cleanups, we need to also turn off the tap via the other circular economy principles. So that's designing out waste and pollution and keeping materials in circulation. And I highly recommend, it's great that you're doing the cleanup, but I highly recommend that you pair your cleanups with a waste audit, because it will unlock insights and opportunities for you that you wouldn't have otherwise had. And I highly recommend also partnering up for support. So again, the universities, the municipalities, anyone who is there to support you. So well, I'll stop there and I'll hand it back to Suzanne.
My microphone. Sorry about that. I learned something new from you again today about the litter map, and Vienna is going to join us on screen as well, because we're so grateful for
Sorry.
individuals like yourself who have taken the time to really be part of this community of awareness, because I think throughout the summit it has been repeated over and over from the different speakers that we've had, and especially in the panels there was so much information of like-minded individuals, different kinds of passions, but we are learning that we need more consciousness, more awareness, more redefining of the concepts. And I think your presentation did a beautiful job of demonstrating to us visually, as well as the clarity with which you delivered your presentation. um we can take this to schools, we can take this to universities, we can have young professionals that are in this area, like, really sit down and re-examine their choices moving forward. So for me, I think one of my passions coming out of the summit is going to be like meeting with educators to be able to talk about this, and what can we do in the classroom, because I think that's, I mean, we go where our skill sets are at. How do we put that seed? Can you tell us a little more about the litter map? I mean,
Yeah, I might just share the open litter map. I might just share the website just so you can see it. Da, da, da.
I don't think it would have ever occurred that to map where litter is at so that people can, to think of an idea that seems
Wow.
so radical to actually be why collecting data is important.
Hmm.
Mhm. And you
Yes.
can't, I mean, as a physio, I mean, yeah, as a physio, what we do as physios, someone comes in with a problem, an injury, a complaint of something, we have to take measurements first to see where things might be going wrong. So maybe your left
Yes.
hamstring is weak, or so, but we've got to take data so that when we
Exactly.
address it and implement a solution, we know to test that later to see if it's being effective. So that's what we can do when we measure, when we do a cleanup and we take waste audit data. That's us setting a baseline measurement and then check-in measurements as we go along, so we can see the impact of our efforts, but also impact of efforts upstream, in terms of like the ocean cleanup is putting an inceptor wall in the rivers to capture the plastic before it enters the ocean. So the data that we collect ongoing over a period of time tells us if our strategies and our treatments are effective.
Definitely. Um,
Yes.
as you were
And
saying,
that's, we were actually talking about that with Christian Giles from Anaconda Carbon, because first he measures, no, what's the carbon footprint in order to compensate it. What you don't measure, you cannot really
Yes.
like fix, no? Well, if you
Yep.
don't have data, you can, or you're not gonna fix it as well as if you have all the. So data is key. I completely agree with Caitlyn. That's, and I have learned that with Caitlyn too, how important like data is. I didn't have it so present until Caitlyn explained it, and until I started working with Caitlyn. Now I see data as one of the most valuable assets. Definitely.
Caitlin, I have another question for you. Like, so as a homeowner, if I want to apply this element of auditing, so for example, in other countries where um, recycling and applying is more becoming more of a habit, in countries where it's not such of a habit yet, you will find that when you try to recycle, maybe you're not sorting because you probably don't have space to place the things where you want to sort, and you realize how quickly you start accumulating stuff. What are some of the options for people who are doing like home audits to realize, hey, how much waste am I generating in my own home? And what are some suggestions for them, on that personal scale, as an individual or
Mhm.
as a family? How can I use the home audits to improve where I am at first, and by extension, the rest of it?
Yes, I love this question because this is where it all began for me. I did a waste audit for myself at home. It's not just for nerdy people, I swear. It can be, it's really, really valuable. So what I did, again, I just got a bin liner. And at the end of the week, I think it was maybe a Friday or something, I went, okay, right, I want to reduce my waste, but I don't know where to start. So let's dump everything out. Let's see what waste I'm actually bringing into my home. And then I'll
Oh,
separate into the different streams. So okay, I've got
Wow.
plastic here, and I would separate it based on the recycling streams that are available to you. And maybe not just what might be collected from your home, but there's also programs, again, it depends on where you are in the world, but some programs might recycle pens, used up pens and markers, which is relevant for schools, or battery streams and light bulbs, and the list goes on, textiles. So I would be first researching, depending on where you live, researching and maybe even contacting your municipality and saying, what streams can I recycle where I live? Once you have a good idea of those, write them down, make little quadrants on your little tarp and separate the waste into those different quadrants. Then you get a really good understanding of, oh my goodness, 90% of what I'm throwing away is plastic packaging, or holy smokes, I'm throwing away so much food waste that I could be sending for recycling, or I could be composting myself at home. So then you get an idea, and I would just pick one thing, just one, because
Not get overwhelmed. To not get
exactly.
overwhelmed with the process. Like for example, how do you deal with the ickiness though? I mean, I know we have gloves. I know if it's, but there's, like when it comes to composting, at some point in time, we're going to see the maggots and we're going to see the transition of life and stuff. And that sometimes, it's cool. Like if you're into science and that part of the life,
Yeah,
but then at the other time, you want to do it and then you meet these little barriers. And this is kind of like where people can sometimes shut down because they want to do something good, but they can't get over the icky parts of it,
yeah,
where they
yeah,
have to go through the waste. And I think what I also see arising also is that mirror effect. We actually get to go through in the audit and look at, did I really need to get all of this or not? And for example, in Honduras, we do there's a lot of plastic waste production because plastics is the easiest and cheapest method of packaging for a certain level of the economy. There
yep,
hasn't been something to replace or to provide a more economical option for those who are selling or using. So it continues to be that. So like there's this guilt, there's this collective
yeah,
emotional guilt that you want to do something, but at the same time it's like, I mean, you don't want to demonize people who are living at a particular income
yeah,
level because they
yeah,
can, you know. So it's like, how do we help them? How do we
yeah,
help bring these strategies in a
yeah,
way that we can, and like you said, choose one line. Oh, there's so much to
yeah.
do with this.
Well, I really like that you bring that up, because we are at all different levels of ability, and I've been on both spectrums. I've been at a point in my life where I really wanted to do the better thing, but my wallet didn't allow. Not to say that sustainability is more expensive. There are different ways. It depends on what we're talking about, but there are different ways to choose a sustainable and zero waste option that is still even more economical than the thing wrapped in plastic. So I do want to say that I recognize that not everyone is has the same resources,
Hmm.
but each one of us, no matter where we are, has the ability to change. And I think that's where it comes to being realistic. So if you do that waste audit, or if there's something that you're buying a lot, maybe just pick one and look at how you might be able to reduce that. So if the only food waste going in your bin is banana peels, well, have you got a neighbor that has a compost? If you don't want to deal with the ickiness, have you got a neighbor that you can supply it to? What are some other creative things that we can do with banana peels? Did you know you can soak banana peels in water to extract the potassium, and you can water your plants, your indoor house plants?
My mom does.
Do you have a compost bin? Yeah, there's just so many. It gets a little creative, but I also understand not only is there a barrier of finances, but there's also a barrier of convenience. And that's why we're in our situation today, because everything is
Yeah.
about convenience, right? So we also don't want to overwhelm ourselves, because if we set ourselves up and have too high of expectations, we're not going to achieve it. So it needs to be picking something that you're okay with putting maybe a smidge of extra work into. Yeah,
And that would
just
bring us back
one
to
at a
our
time.
internal regenerative goals in terms of like so we go from collecting data. So I imagine that litter map, when we start seeing what kind of data it produces, then it kind of brings it. It's not like we say out of sight, out of mind. If we don't see
Hmm.
it, we don't think about it. But if we see it displayed on a map, there's data that says, hey, this is what you're tracking, this is what you're leaving behind. Um, then I guess we do have to sit up and take stock and enter into that internal regeneration, that self-processing and self-awareness about how will we make a different choice.
Yeah,
And
yeah,
I talk about that with my children, making choices that matter, and sometimes
Yes,
absolutely.
here we have a comment from Muhammad. He's a tour operator, founder of the Dark Skies Tours in Pakistan. I'm very impressed with everything that the people from Pakistan are doing. Like they are really conscious. You wouldn't believe it. They install their own solar panels. It's like a boom. The solar panels, the renewal, the same people, the local people, they're changing themselves to renewable energy. They check it on YouTube and they try to install it themselves. And he says that in Hunza, it's a little village from Pakistan. They do volunteers. They get together once a month and they clean all the villages and give the garbage to the government for the waste management. And they promote the cleanliness in the region and educate people for, like, Pakistan is really beautiful. Like I didn't know much about Pakistan, but now that I see like the pictures of the tours, and wow, it's
yeah.
such a beautiful place. Like, wow, it's incredibly amazing.
I
And
love to hear that. I'm actually working on developing a project in Pakistan, just a little bit south, I believe, of Hunza,
uh,
in Charbagh. I apologize if I'm butchering that name, but yeah, there's a lot of amazing people doing some really great stuff in waste in Pakistan. So
yes.
love
Oh,
it.
then you guys can connect because yeah. Uh, I'll connect you guys. Oh, by the way, look, this picture. We took them on the ones in the left. We took them on one of the cleanup trips we did. John took them, and then he did the right ones with the AI prompt. Like, how would this beach look clean? No, and that's the one in the right is the AI prompt, and see how you can see the difference of how beautiful it looks, without garbage, and how it looks all contaminated, all polluted, full of garbage. And I think this helps us visualize like what is our current problem and where we have to get. Like
Yeah.
the right image is where we have to move forward and keep it like that, like always. Yeah, because as you said it so well, like we go and clean up and then a few days later it's the same or worse as we left it, no?
Yeah.
So yeah, that's why I looked for Caitlyn for a long-term solution, because it's not sustainable what we're doing so far. As Caitlyn says, we always make a difference because in each cleanup we pick up at least 500 pounds of trash or more, but still it's coming back all the time. So that's why we have joined forces also with the ocean cleanup, with Caitlyn from the Waste Not Spot, with Circular Clarity, and we're trying to work together and connect with the local communities. We are working very with the local communities. We're supporting them basically, but they are the leaders in this project, and we're trying to do a more long-term program for waste management that can really help these communities. As Caitlyn says, like, we need trash cans. There's not even trash cans there, so we need
Yeah.
trash cans where they can separate the trash, like organic, the plastic, the cans. Yeah, so that's basic, I think. And yeah, some type of recycling system. We need coast guards, people that that are actively cleaning the site, when the trash comes. So there's a lot of
And that brings us full circle back to government, because that was also something that came up in the podcast when we started the conferences, and we started talking about it. And Caitlin, you went from the doctor's office to policy and I remember asking you about the red tape and the bureaucracy and the slowness, because that's what becomes frustrating. Like we need to get a permit to get something done. We need to
Mm.
ask for someone to help install something, or then you get shut down with, oh, we don't have funds for that, we don't have
Yeah.
funds for that. So then you're it's like you're going around through revolving doors, and it becomes frustrating. But I think the
Yeah.
beauty of the summit has been, I think the summit Regenera truly is like it's a wind of hope, or the winds of change, if we go back to the old 80s classic song, the winds of change. Walking along the, oh, I forgot the name of the river. But the line goes up, and by Lalaika Singh, where he's playing. It's the winds of change, because it's refreshing and telling people that have been trying to do something that, hey, there's a community. There's a community of like minded individuals that are conscious and proactive towards actually making a difference. Because there's the and that's why I think I've been quoting you, and no, quoting the quote that you said about the actual problem, that it's not about the pollution, it's not about the contamination, but rather it's about the selfishness and the apathy in humans and stuff like that. And I think it really does come back to us and our own personal responsibility when we stop, take stock, and decide what are the decisions I'm making in my home, in my office, in my car. It's
Yep.
incredible how much we accumulate as one individual, much less when we put all of it together, and how we can come together. So, the waste not
Mm.
spot to our audience looking at us, and when you sit down to digest all of this content again as members of Regenera Travel community, I mean, we are truly inviting everyone, because it's a collective action to leave something better for the generations that will follow us. And for
Yeah.
that, Caitlin, we are very grateful for your time, your wisdom, your experience, and your accessibility. So thank you from me, Vienna.
Yes, I want to thank you, Caitlin, for everything. Really, like your support has been invaluable for us, and all the knowledge you have shared. It's amazing how you have inspired us, leaded us, and how much we have achieved basically with very little funds. I feel we have achieved a lot. Oh, I want to share also with you that we were talking with the for the communities, just very briefly. The last meeting I had with Calixta from Tornave, that is the Garifuna village next to Miami, and she was sharing her the problems that the communities in these areas face. And she also said that people just come to extract their natural resources. So the people, they just come and they steal their coconut water, and they steal, all their resources. And also because of the plantation of the African palm that they use for oil, the land has become very dry. And they normally plant in their backyard the yuca, all their food, because they don't have really space, because they have been displaced due to like irresponsible tourism development. They have less and less territory all the time, and so they end up they don't have really cultivating land, so they cultivate in their backyards, but it's becoming harder and harder because the land has become very dry. And for example,
Mm.
normally in the beach there's like these wild grapes, beach grapes, and she says there's very few now, like there's very few beach grapes now, because of all the damage that is caused to the nature, no, all the development that is not controlled, not regularized, the stealing of the resources. So yeah, you can really see how the vegetation, how everything, the lush, tropical scenery is changing as well. It's becoming more dry, more desertic. not really tropical Caribbean. No, so it's really affecting.
Mm.
And they are the ones that are suffering it the most, and that's why many of these Garifuna people are leaving to the U.S. No, they are even put in danger their lives to go to the U.S. No, so I think it is important that we share this also with the people, so that maybe people are more conscious, and also think about the providers that they are buying to, because to make sure that these providers are not also taking away from these communities and from these people. Because I think it is not fair that you just go to a place and steal the things. No, you have to work for your things. Just this special note to close that I wanted to share. And no, very excited for all the projects that we're working on. We're applying on many fundings with the Waste Not Spot, with Circular Clarity, to support the local communities in the coast of Honduras. And we are uniting also and inviting also local NGOs, local stakeholders, local government, and everyone that wants to join forces to make a change. Because it doesn't matter if we're doing the things wrong right now. The important thing is to realize it, to recognize our mistake, and to change things for the better, to make things better. So but the first way is to recognize that we are making things not well, in a wrong way. Yeah,
Absolutely. Well, oh, sorry.
Yeah, no, well, thank you so much.
No, thank you. Thanks for having me. It's been fantastic working together. So sorry, do you mind just bringing up the screen again?
Oh, yes, sorry.
That's okay. So if you want to be kept up to date on all things circular, feel free to subscribe to our mailing list. The QR code's just there. You can also follow us on socials at the Waste Not Spot. We also, the podcast that I mentioned is called Millennials Gone Circular, and you can find us anywhere that you get your podcasts. And if you would like, there was not enough time to go through the nitty gritty, but if you would like a free cleanup and waste audit guide and some templates, just send me an email. Please, I am traveling for the next few weeks, so I might be slow to respond, but just send me an email and I will get those back through to you. So yeah, thanks again.
Thank you so much, Caitlyn. Well, have a very nice afternoon there, because it's a little bit late. And well, many blessings. Thank you so much. I hope God
from Honduras to Stockholm,
multiplied everything you give us. You're amazing. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye, everyone.
Bye-bye. Bye-bye, Susan.
Bye, sweetie.